But on Saturday, the 24th of June, 2023, just gone 11:13 p.m. Chicago time. Do hope you are doing well. So time for another weekend futures market recap, where I go through 15 of the largest futures markets and show you what I'm seeing on my charts. Hope you had a good week's trading. After last week's video, I was pretty bullish and I thought we might have a little bit of profit taking and then bounce back. But in fact, this week, the equities markets sold off and spent almost 5 days down. So we're going to roll through the Emini charts first, from the daily all the way down to the tip bar charts, and then we'll roll through the signals on the tip bar charts for each of the futures markets. So here we go on the daily chart. This is the traditional setup of the better indicators, where we have everything to do with volume on the left hand side, with better momentum, which is a volume based momentum indicator, and better pro-am, which uses the average trade size to identify professional and amateur activity. Professionals in blue, amateurs in yellow. Right hand side, everything to do with price based on better sine wave here. That is the plate of spaghetti beneath the price bars that allows us to calculate cyclical support and resistance levels in 3 different time frames on the price bars. And then the breaks of those support and resistance lines get us into uptrends and downtrends. When price and volume are both in sync, going in the same direction, we get uptrends painted in red in the background and downtrends painted in gray. So with last week's activity, we had better momentum come out with an exhaustion pattern here at that high 4500. I then spent most of the week just selling off here. Big move down on Monday and then bang bang bang, just sinking a little bit lower. So the question is, when are we going to catch? Yes, we're in an uptrend because we've not played out this trend move. We've got to go see pullback to end of trends on price. All we've done is put in an exhaustion pattern. Now, is that exhaustion because it's reached a previous high here and we're just gone out of steam? We're just going to back off a little bit. I'm thinking this is the beginning of a bull move out of this channel that we've been in for an extremely long time and getting us going. So that's only one signal which starts to suggest that there's just a little bit of exhaustion. That's all. We don't have price signals to say that's the end of this uptrend. We don't have professional activity coming in here. There's not even the bullish divergence on better momentum at that point. So question is, how far are we going to sink down and when are we going to pop back up? So on the daily chart, we're looking for the crosses to come back here on the lowest time frame. They're sinking down, they need to go to negative 100 and cross, but we might be able to see some other crosses happening on better sine wave in the lower time frames. So let's go down a time frame, the 135-minute chart. Exactly 3 135-minute bars in a day session of the E-mini. This is the rally we had, set off here with the blue bars taking off the last time. We'd exhausted ourselves, bullish divergence, flush patterns going on here, exhaustion buy, getting the move going. And on this chart, on the 135-minute chart, that's just a flush pattern at those highs. Rambo patterns leading the way. Amateurs pushing to those new highs at 4,500. And I'm always saying the low of those amateur bars, that sequence, the lowest amateur bar of that sequence is an area of importance. So let's just pull that up. What is that? 43.50. So we're 35 points away from that at the moment. So on this chart here, we've had pullback to end of trend. It's a strong uptrend because we've overshot the resistance level here. So we're coming back down looking for a little bit of support. And we've had one support level come in here on the lowest time frame. Let's see if that's enough to hold it. Potentially we could drop through that support and then look for the next support to come in on the intermediate time frame, which would line up with that daily chart. Then we'll go down to the 45-minute chart here. 45-minute chart, still in an uptrend. You can see the background is in red. So price and volume both showing us strength. And here we go, blue professional bars taking profits, those highs. We've sunk back down. It wasn't an exhaustion pattern on the 45-minute chart here. We've had a flush pattern going on here. Here we've fallen through support on the lowest time frame and we're being caught by support on the intermediate time frame. So pull back in an uptrend here on the intermediate time frame. So that potentially is looking a little bit better in terms of an area where we might catch. I must admit, I think with the news out of Russia on Monday with the markets, that might be quite important. That'll either freak people out or people will think that's good in some way for the markets, that we have some normalcy in the situation in Ukraine potentially. But as I'm speaking now, it's Sunday Australia time. The whole thing looks like it's been diffused, and it looks like the head of the Wagner Group is going to be going to Belarus and getting kicked out of the country potentially, but who knows. And then the 15-minute chart here, you can see this is the week's activity here. The vertical solid yellow lines mark the beginning and the ends of the week. So last week we had a super strong week. This is really nice. But blue professional bars at the highs, and we've sunk lower this week. So on this 15-minute chart, it's confirmed downtrend. because price and volume are both showing us that they're weak and we're in a downtrend. So here, nothing to catch us. We need the blue professional bars to step in here for the trailing stop on Brent Pro-Am, which is currently sitting up here just under 4,500. Needs to be trailed back down. Blue professional bars step in and we break above that into an uptrend. So that's giving me a little bit more clarity, which means we're not done on the downside. I don't think we need to see those blue professional bars step in, potentially an exhaustion pattern on the way down on better momentum here. It's a nasty read at minus 24,000, but it's not generated an exhaustion pattern there. Some support coming in on British sine wave here, but maybe that's not enough to hold it there. And then the tip bar charts here. So tip bar charts, the end of last week, you can see the blue professional bars. They forced it back up to 4,500, and then blue professional bars taking profits and taking the market down here. Rambo patterns there, that was just showing it's a low average trade size. We didn't bounce up those Rambo patterns because the highs of those amateur bars didn't get broken. This one was a little bit better, so Rambo patterns, and I like this for a sequence. I like this with blue professional bars stepping in after the Rambo pattern at a similar type level. So the Rambo pattern here is potential reversal of an amateur breakout. This is the amateurs playing right at the lows, thinking it's going to go lower. Of course, they get wrong-footed because the highs of that amateur bar get broken, and then this is where the professionals step back in again on that retrace, stair-step trade down, and we've come down here. Now, on the 13,500 tip bar chart, this is looking a little bit better. So here we've got an exhaustion sell pattern. We've got blue professional bars in. We need to break back above 43.97. This point here, it's been a complex correction on the way down, and I say that because you can see all the batting backwards and forwards between particularly the intermediate time frame support and resistance levels as we come back down. It wasn't a straight fall off and then we get an exhaustion pattern, little pullback to end of trend, and we bounce straight back. That's a complex correction on the way down here. But we've done quite a lot of damage on the downside. We've got our exhaustion sell there. So we've got two or three things starting to come together. One, exhaustion sell. We've got to wait for the bullish divergence. So that's half a signal on the triple patterns. Second one is blue professional bars come in here, but we haven't broken above the trailing stop on Brent Pro-Am. So again, half a signal, if you like, there. So in terms of better sine wave, we are oversold here at this point because of all these end of trend patterns down here. So we've got the makings of the bottoming process here, but we haven't had that signal yet. So wouldn't be jumping in on Monday. I'd just wait and see how this plays out and then waiting for the signals on the 13,500 tip bar chart. So there we go. That's the Emini rolling down from the highs to lows. We can see the profit taking came about because of the exhaustion pattern up here on the daily chart, but we're still waiting for that next level to step back in. We don't quite have that signal yet on the 13,500 tip bar chart. So let's go through the tip bar charts. These are the 15 tip bars charts that I look at for signals on each of the largest futures markets. And we'll start off with the Forex charts. Told you I was long Forex this last week, and I was going to be taking profits Monday, Tuesday, and in fact on Wednesday I took profits. This was high watermark for most of the Forex contracts this week. No signals last week or this week on the euro, so a little bit boring. But I do think the longer time frame charts on the Forex side of things shows weakness in USD and strength in the other currencies, but it's a question of when to step in. British pound, we had signals this week, signals short. After topping out here, we had a signal short and then another signal short. We tested into those highs up here, 28.75, and I think that was probably the Bank of England news. They raised rates, I think, 50 basis points this week. Blue professional bars step in and bang, it crashes down. So we got those in the background, but this move isn't over on the downside because we don't have the inverse of that. We don't have exhaustion sell, we don't have blue professional bars. It's oversold here at this point, but we're probably going to have to see some more oversold signals there. So currently weak on the British pound. Aussie dollar also weak at this point with this week's activity. The signal was a little bit late up here, wasn't at the 69 level here. It wasn't until we had exhaustion buy, bearish divergence come in that allows us to pray that down. I think that's looking interesting because that's a stair-step trade on the way down, and we don't have exhaustion sell on Aussie dollar. So let's see where the Aussie dollar goes next. We're oversold on better sine wave here, but there might be some more in it on the downside on the Aussie. And then Japanese yen. Japanese yen has got spent the last week sinking lower and lower. At the end of last week, I was saying potentially we had a signal lining up for Japanese yen because we had all of the components except the better pro-am being broken. We had 2 of the 3 potential signals going off here. You can see we had a bunch of blue professional bars, exhaustion, sell, bullish divergence, that's 1. We're oversold, the background is in red on better sine wave, and we're waiting with the blue professional bars to break above the trailing stop on better pro-am, but we never get the break. We come back up, we bounce off it, kiss it, and then turn away. So we never generated a signal out of that sequence there. This one was a nice one, short into here. And potentially now, again, another trade setup for Japanese yen at the end of this week. So we got exhaustion, sell, bullish divergence come in. So that's signal number 1. We got oversold, pattern on better sine wave, the red background, signal number 2. And we got blue professional bars stepping in at lows. But the trailing stop is still quite a long ways away. So we've got to break back above that trailing stop before we get the signal. So I'd look for more blue professional bars at the very beginning of the week with the Japanese yen and see if that actually turns into a signal where we get a reversal there on Japanese yen. That would be good. So then the E-mini, this 13,500 tip bar chart, and you can see the end of last week we had those signals short. It was nice into this weakness that we had all week. Wasn't a super big move really from 44.60 down to 43.90 or so, but still that's not bad. But on the reverse side, we've got this exhaustion sell. We're looking for bullish divergence. We've got the blue professional bars and better pro-am has trailed nice and close to that. We're oversold with a better sine wave background in red. So look for a signal there potentially for the E-mini at the beginning of this next week. 10-year notes. Just junk, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. Beginning of the week, here, signal short, then another signal short, never goes anywhere. We're just stuck in this range down here. On the higher time frame charts, though, I think we're going to get a bounce in the bonds because we're playing the bottom of the range on those long-term daily charts. And at some point, we're going to break back up to test the top of that range and see where we're going. We're just caught in this super wide range. And then on this tick bar chart, we're just caught in this range here. So gold and silver. Now, at the end of last week, I was super bullish on gold because of all of this blue professional bars. Sometimes I just got to shut my mouth and just see how it plays out because it looks like all those blue professional bars with signal longs last week was just playing into a test of 1980 and then it just sank down here. So were they just playing us here, just pushing it up, the professionals at that point in order to lay off those positions, get short as it trades down? Super junky down here, you'd have thought they're starting to accumulate, but there's no exhaustion sell down here. They come in and sell it down again with blue professional bars here. Again, there's no exhaustion sell. So that's weak for gold. So silver, similar type thing. We had that signal long, not so many blue bars, and then we had blue bars come in here and here. And they were definitely taking profits and sending it down, and we fell out of bed here, going from 24.20 down to 22.20 almost. And no exhaustion sell, not a bunch of blue professional bars down here. It's oversold at this point, but not got signals there on silver. Bitcoin had a rocketing week. So you can see the beginning of the week and the end of the week. Last week's signal here, long, bunch of blue professional bars, exhaustion sell, bullish divergence, oversold on better sine waves, and then we break better pro-am. And that's what the triple signal is all about. 3 non-correlated indicators. When they come together, you higher probability trades. And that's blue professional bars breaking us out of this channel down here, 26,000, and then even more blue professional bars getting us going out of 28,000 because they wanted to take it up to 31s. Now, 31s, they've maybe taken profits. We've got some signals to go short at this point, but it's been such a strong move. What we're doing at the moment is testing back into that range, so we wait and see. But Bitcoin, that was nice to break out of that channel and then test up above 30,000 into the 31.5 up here. Crude, what are we doing on crude? Crude signals short this week. So last week we had a signal long up in those highs, pretty volatile at 72s. Blue professional bars step in and we get signals short and it's sold off. And here, no blue professional bars stepped in yet. So we've got nothing in terms of stopping this move on the way down, no exhaustion sell and so on. So definitely in a downtrend on crude. Remember, the daily chart shows us slightly different pictures. It shows us at some point we'll test these lows and should be back into an uptrend, but not yet. By contrast, natural gas. Natural gas took off. I was saying, summer doldrums a couple of weeks ago. We're not going to do anything on natural gas. No, just decided that, what the news was out of Europe, potentially, that they're going to shut off their Russian gas and buy all their gas from the US. I don't know. Anyway, this thing took up. There was the signal. 2 weeks ago, right down there at the lows, triple pattern, everything comes together. Blue professional bars, exhaustion sell, bullish divergence, oversold, bang, just rockets up. A little bit of weakness here, but then just kept on going. So we're up at 285 on natural gas. And copper I think is just just no signals last 2 weeks, can't decide what it's doing. Nasty sell-off here at the end of the week. And then ags have been surprisingly strong, and as I've read the news this weekend, potentially it's because of drought conditions or the warm conditions in the US. So corn this week, we had signals short. It's a nasty sell-off there, 624. Exhaustion sell, bullish divergence, flush pattern. It's not until we break the trailing stop on beta priam that this sells off. So that's a week on corn. Soybeans still strong this week. No blue professional bars, those highs. No exhaustion buy and so on. So it's been a super strong 2 or 3 weeks on soybeans, but nothing to say that that's reversing and going the other way. And then wheat. So poor signal here, middle of last week, and we've kept on going up. And here, I don't know, blue professional bars, exhaustion sell. Have to wait and see, but there's nothing going on really there on wheat. So there we go. E-mini, I think we're looking for a signal beginning of this next week. Let's see if the move continues down on the Aussie dollar. Potentially the Japanese yen is looking interesting for the beginning of the week, setting up for a reversal trade there. Yes, that's probably what I'm going to be looking at on my charts. But again, just waiting for the signals to pop up and see what trade I want to take next. Do hope your trading is going well. Hopefully that video wasn't too long-winded, and good luck with your trading next week.